culminate in the arrest of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, the president of Kenya African Union in 1952. It was from the East African Royal Air Force that he was flown in an Anson transport aircraft to Lokitang in the Northern Frontier District, where he was imprisoned in 1952. Kenyans will further press on demanding for his release and declaration of independence.
These movements, full of corruption and virulent anti-white propaganda, had eventually to be outlawed by the government.
In the same period, the colonial master noted that there was intense pressure fueling hostile undercurrents in Kenya.
Schools, breeding places of hatred and revolt, were closed by government order. But the reign of intimidation on all who...
The colonial rule came to an end in 1963 when independence was agreed with the British. On 12 December 1963, Kenya attained independence.
So good evening, viewers. Welcome to Peace Express every Wednesday 7 to 8. You know that time is only Peace Express on MTN Kenya. So, General,
yes,
tell us what we are talking about in the show tonight.
Yeah, we are talking about the state of the
nation. Today, things are getting really, really bad. I agree. So, give us the first point.
We can't miss out on talking about youth and unemployment.
Youth are dragged by jail already. Corruption,
yes.
I wanted that. I like what we are going to talk about. I'm liking the show. So I'm so really done.
If you are done, don't miss. Don't miss.
Every Wednesday. Tune in.
On MTN television. So good evening, viewers. 6 minutes past the top of the hour, right here at Nairobi's CBD. Peace Express begins right now with me, Samson Ghana. And in studio, I have my guest right here on my far right, on my immediate right, so to say. On my immediate right, I have Mwalimu Kennedy Okongo from Brownhill. Kennedy Olango, I beg your pardon. Kennedy Olango from Brownhill Secondary School, Komarok. And on my immediate left is Mr. Peter Kingori from Center for Character and Leadership. This is in Ruaraka, Amaruaka. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. And today, actually, we want to look at the parenting issue. We want just to do a review on the parenting issue and also the state of the nation. We are not forgetting this issue, and especially we are going to tackle a bit of it in terms of maybe the rise in prices of fuel in Kenya. So, those are some of the things that we are discussing tonight. And maybe as we are starting our discussion with you, Mwalimu, what kind of a child should we bring up as a family or as a parent?
Okay, let me take this opportunity to thank you so much, Sam,
yes,
for inviting us here, the Peace Express show. I also want to thank my colleague, at least, for being ready for the discussion. Now, the society requires a lot from the child, and normally we always want to bring a child that is morally upright, a child that is very sensitive to what is happening in the environment, a child that is also responsible enough. We always want to bring up a child that is all around, a child that everybody would be proud of. I believe if we can get that kind of a child, then I'm very sure the society will be very happy. Yeah.
So, Mr. Kimori, what could be your input in this particular issue?
I think one thing that should be very clear is that the issue of parenting need to be given a lot of consideration more than it is.
Yes.
And I like to say that the world that we are living in today is different from the world that the modern child is living today is different from the world that we lived during our time. Things have changed with the coming of technology. In our times, we didn't have a technology. And technology has brought some advantages and disadvantages when it comes to raising a moral child. And so when we look at parenting, we should all strive to raise a moral child. And when you talk about a moral child, this is a child who is compassionate, a child who is honest, a child who is generous, and a child who is obedient. And as opposed to children, whether being sadistic, whether being predatory, whether being very uncool in our society. Yeah.
So that's a bit comprehensive from that particular point. And you know, when you're talking about what type of a child should we bring up as a family, you know, in most cases, we know maybe as a parent, you know, or when you have a kid, you always wish that, okay, this particular kid or this child will one day grow to be so and so. Is something that every parent would want to have in maybe in future, and this is something that maybe when it comes to taking care of children, in terms of maybe academically or in terms of maybe discipline. And we know very well that maybe in terms of disciplining a child is a collective responsibility, be it from the parent or be it from the parents or by the teachers. Is something that is a collective responsibility. And nowadays we are seeing something that is a bit relevant into us in our society, where when the government passed a law that there is no more caning in schools. And I think in most cases, this is something that has affected our schools and our children in one way or the other. Do you believe? Do you agree with me?
Okay, your question is in line, and one thing I would want to say here, I don't think that we have to use a stick for us to bring up an upright child. That is like we would just be coercing the child to behave in a particular way. You know, in a society, there are always some systems that are put in place that can enable a child to be the kind of that child that the society requires of them. You know, if the system is put right, you can create somebody out of anybody. So anybody can be somebody. We have children that have come from homes that have never been considered to be serious homes when it comes to parenting, and they do well. And I know in those homes there is nothing like even kids. They're just left like that. But then they still come up to be very wonderful children. I believe there's that aspect of instilling discipline among the children, which at times we use a stick, and the Bible also allows it, that we don't need to spare the rod and spoil the child. But then we don't want to say that once you have the stick, then you will get what? The best child, or you will get the best out of that child once you have the stick. Stick alone is not the solution. It might just be part of the solution, but it's not the solution. I know it is that part of reinforcing. It can help maybe to reinforce whatever you want to do, but then it should not be the only thing that you do for you to raise your child.
So I told you, just hold on a bit. I just want to come to you, Mr. Kingori. We don't have to use a stick to bring an upright child. That is actually his words. Don't you think it is appropriate? That is one. And then the next question I would ask you, after answering me, the next question I would ask you is that before, the rate of unrest in schools that were there were a bit limited as opposed to the cases we are encountering in this generation. what could have changed within that particular time?
Well, we talk about the cane. What comes in my mind is what happened when I was in class 5. I remember one of my classmates, he was given 50 strokes of cane by the deputy principal, and actually the deputy head teacher. And that was the end of his education, the end of his life. And he was an orphan. You can imagine an orphan looking at what he's going through, and simply because he has failed in exams, then he was caned. And he ended up leaving school at that age. And so I'm looking at a life that was to go on through the primary education level and ultimately the second level and fulfill his dream. Yet he left his school at class 5. I'm not saying that killing is bad, because even the Holy Book supports that you train a child the way he should go, and when you grow up, do not forget. And it's also talked about the disciplining a child by using of a cane. And when we talk about the cane, a child, I think what we need to agree, at what age do we need to care, and at what age do we need to give instruction and advice as we listen to our young people and mentor them. And for me, I think I could say that children who are below 12 years, probably when they're in discipline, they can be collected through caning, but not caning in a way that you are it's like you're punishing this kid. It just is caning as you collect the behavior. It's caning as you tell the child, explain to the child the reason of caning you. I'm giving you these 3 canes simply because you have been obedient. You have not completed the homework. Simply because you have stolen some maize. Simply because you have used abusive language in front of other people. But we have seen parents who just maybe they come at home and they find like the children have eaten sugar and they start beating them uncontrollably. This is not parenting. This is not the good parenting that we are talking about. The good parenting is you discipline your child and give him the reasons on why you have to cane that child. And this also should happen in our education system. I support the education policy in terms that there should be no caning in school, because these are grown-ups. And as you cane them, one thing that comes very, very well is that there is that distance in the relationship, because they become more, they fear you. I've worked in some of the schools where students, they fear the deputy principal, they fear the discipline master. They cannot even approach them to get some required advice, simply because they see them as people who can cane them and all that. But the grown-up people who are in high schools, I would support to have one-on-one discussions, one-on-one advice, and get to understand this kid. Why has he committed this offense? Why has she behaved? And there are many ways that we can use to correct behavior apart from killing.
Okay, now I want to slightly support and slightly differ with my colleague here.
Really quick.
I strongly believe that you don't only correct a child by caning. That I strongly believe. But then again, you have to vary. You have to vary. There are those students or those children, let me say, that when you fortify whatever you are doing with an aspect of maybe 2 strokes or 3 strokes, they will get it, will stick into their mind. Remember, these are African children. What we want to do, we want to borrow. We want to borrow so much. We like borrowing so much from the West. We are borrowing so much from the West, and we are not in the environment of the West. You are talking about the unrest in schools. Some of it is partly because of the government policy of abolishing the punishment by, in fact, just punishment. You know, it is not only caning that has been abolished in school. Yeah, there are aspects of punishment that is not allowed in school today. Yeah, so it becomes very difficult even to control some of these kids. So what should not be allowed is a case where you torture. Torturing should not be allowed. But then, yes, but then, but then, caning should be allowed. And when maybe teachers or the parents are doing it, they need to do it responsibly. They need to do it responsibly. We are still very far from us that we are trying to copy. Why is that we must always copy the West and they cannot copy us from us? Yeah, we will look at that small child that you keep on talking to at home. Huh? You keep on talking, and then one time when you now just use maybe 2 strokes, the child cries for a short time, then all smiles is back in the house. Yeah.
So up to there, I just want to take a breather, and I just want to remind our viewers on our call lines and also the SMS. So then you can interact with us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are at MTN Kenya. Twitter, we are at Peace Express One. Remember to use that hashtag face to face with reality. And also on YouTube, we are at MTN Kenya or at Peace Express. You can find us live and direct. Or remember, you can also stream live at www.mtv.com. You'll get us live and direct. And now, before we move to another thing, Mwalimu, I wanted to sample some of the feedbacks here. But before then, allow us maybe to move on. And I want to ask you something. I can see maybe a number of people are calling, and also some SMS are getting in. So we'll sample them before the end of the show, and we'll hear how our viewers react outside there. I wanted to ask you something. Whose failure is it when it comes to parental now? Or for example, the cases of indiscipline in schools, maybe unrest in schools. Like you as a teacher, where do you find the challenge? Yes.
When our kids do not behave well,
Yes.
I'll blame the entire society.
Yes.
The society is supposed to be blamed.
Yes.
Starting with the government, the government that set the policy. We have the parents, we have the neighbors. You know, we like right now we are living in a society whereby a child does something that is wrong and people do not care. They don't care, they don't mind, so long as it is not my child. So why should I worry? Yeah. And this behavior that you tolerate here is coming to harm you in the same society. It's coming to harm you there. When this child grows up and then becomes a thug, do you think this child will spare you when you meet a child in the street? Yeah. Then, so that collective responsibility is not there. Today, it is not there. And then why it is also not there, maybe when you can have somebody that has got good heart, who wants to discipline the child, wants to correct the child, but then the parents again will not allow that. But we are in a modern world, whereby you take care of your own kid. So it becomes very difficult. It is a complex thing today. It is a complex thing. We have some parents that also like a lot of pampering of their kids. Yeah, so long as they realize that their kids are happy. That is what is important to them. So long as the kids are happy. Yeah, so you buy them whatever they want, so long as you see them happy. But whatever happens behind that happiness, you don't want to care. So it is a collective responsibility. And when these kids are not doing well, it means that as a society we are failing. Yeah, cannot blame a particular group.
So allow me ask Mr. Kingori something. Mr. Kingori, as a motivational speaker, and also as in your organization, sometimes you interact with similar people. that maybe you have to discipline in form of maybe a talk. And do you think like there are times you face a lot of challenges when interacting with such a group?
Yes, there are challenges.
Yes.
I think I would say that different schools, each school has its own school culture, or each school has its own school moral and academic climate. Yeah, and that matters a lot in terms of the way the students behave in front of a visitor and the way they interact with a visitor. There are those schools who have really worked hard to build their school culture. And when we talk about the school culture, we are talking about the whole environment of the school, how the students interact with each other, how they interact with with the teachers, how they interact with the principal, how they interact even with the non-teaching staff. And you find that there are those schools that students are well disciplined, they're well mannered, they're so focused on their academics, and such schools have little cases of indiscipline. So if there is a visitor in such schools, you find that he's well received, which is well received by the student, or the students are very receptive in terms of gathering and getting any new information from the person who is speaking to them, as opposed to schools whereby the whole administration have neglected the development of their school culture in terms of moral development and academic development. And you find that teachers also, they don't care so much in such schools. You ask them even about their school core values, nobody knows about them. You ask them about the mission and vision of the school, they don't get it. But in well-disciplined schools, where the principal is and the whole team is focused in developing the school culture, everybody understands the core values. Because that's what drives the institutions, the vision, the mission and core values. Without those, then what's the purpose of the existence of that institution? And so I have, in my experience, I've seen schools whereby you have to manage the students as you talk to them. Molly understand very well when you talk about class management and those practices, because you are talking here and another over 20 students are speaking at the back. You have to pause for a moment to what you are doing and try to explain to them, why do you need this kind of advice at this time? Yeah, those are the challenges. But again, I always say that each individual has a capability of becoming a good person. Nobody is doomed. I've also been in schools where I remember one day I met a principal. I was trying to tell him the importance of character education and how they need to mentor the young people and nurture their dreams. And he looked at me and told me, "But Kinoli, schools are doomed. Students are doomed." And then I wondered, why is he an administrator?
What is his business then?
What is his business? Because he said they work with drugs in schools, they work with matches in school. They can do anything. They can boo a teacher in front in a classroom. So students are doomed. Schools are doomed. And so I like what the TSC is doing and try to look at the issues of performance and how well the administrator is interacting with the students and the teachers. Because in any school where there is a very good school culture, it matters most with the character and the behavior of the school principal.
So I think it is exactly 30 minutes past top of the top of the hour. We are taking a breather right now on Peace Express. When we get back, we'll be talking about, we are still continuing with parenting issue. We are reviewing that, and also the issues of drugs in schools. We are tackling that, and also remember the increase of prices of fuel in the country and the effect how that has impacted to the Wananchi's pocket. So those are things that we are coming back to do a review on very quick. We are taking a breather. We'll be back shortly.
Moyo wako kwa vyote ulindavyo, kisha sana ukiomba, linda sana moyo wako.
Oh yes.
Linda moyo wako
Linda.
kwa vyote ulindavyo,
Oh yeah.
kisha sana ukiomba, linda sana moyo wako.
Basi ninyi salini hivi: Baba yetu uliye mbinguni, jina lako litukuzwe, ufalme wako uje, mapenzi yako yatimizwe hapa duniani kama huko mbinguni. Utupe leo riziki yetu, utusamehe deni zetu kama sisi nasi tunavyosamehevyo wadeni wetu, na usitutie majaribuni, lakini utuokoe na yule mwovu, kwa kuwa ufalme ni wako na nguvu na utukufu hata milele. Amina.
Linda moyo wako
Kwa maana
kwa vyote
uwasamehe watu
ulindavyo,
makosa yao,
kisha sana ukiomba,
atawasamehe nani.
linda sana moyo wako.
Barikiwa.
Linda moyo wako kwa vyote ulindavyo, kisha sana ukiomba, linda sana moyo wako. Amekuja ya dunia mengi, yanataka uyalinde, lakini neno moja toka kwangu, linda sana moyo wako. Amekuja mengi ya dunia, yanataka uyalinde, lakini neno moja toka kwangu, linda sana moyo wako. Linda moyo wako kwa vyote ulindavyo, kisha sana ukiomba, linda sana moyo wako. Linda moyo wako
Oh yeah.
kwa vyote ulindavyo, kisha sana ukiomba, linda sana moyo wako.
Siku ya leo ni siku kubwa, na baraka hizi zote zitakukujilia na kukupata usikiapo sauti ya Bwana Mungu wako. Utabarikiwa mjini na utabarikiwa na mashambani. Utabarikiwa uzao wa tumbo lako na uzao wa nchi yako na uzao wa wanyama wako wa mifugo, maongeo ya ng'ombe wako na wadogo wa kondoo zako. Litabarikiwa kapu lako, banki yako na chombo chako
Linda
cha
moyo
kukandia
wako
unga.
kwa vyote ulindavyo, kisha sana ukiomba,
Utabarikiwa
linda sana
uingiapo
moyo wako.
na utabarikiwa
Linda
na
moyo
utokapo.
wako
Bwana
kwa vyote
atawafanya adui
ulindavyo,
zako wainukao
kisha
juu yako
sana ukiomba,
kupigwa mbele yako.
linda sana moyo wako.
Watakutokea kwa njia moja, lakini watakimbia mbele yako kwa njia 7. Bwana Mungu siku ya leo ataiamuru baraka ije juu yako katika ghala zako na mambo yote utakayotia mkono wako, naye atakubarikia katika nchi akupayo. Bwana Mungu.
So welcome back, viewers. This is Peace Express. We are continuing on right here to MTN Studios. Remember, you can interact with us on social media platform. Facebook, we are at MTN Kenya. Twitter, we are at MTN Kenya. YouTube, we are at MTN Kenya. Or at Peace Express. Twitter, at MTN Kenya. Also remember to use that hashtag face-to-face with reality. So a number of things we are discussing right on here, and we are facing them head-on. We are continuing on with the state of the nation, parenting issues still going on. Mr. Kingo,
Yes.
I think I would start with you at this moment. And I just want to ask you this really quick. Maybe the main issue or the main question will be directed to Mwalimu because that is his line. I wanted to ask you this. How do drugs end up in our schools?
Yeah, I think the issue of drugs in school, it has not started today. Even in our time, there were drugs. It's only that I think in my entire life in high school, the common drug that I could see is people coming to school with cigarettes. And these are my fellow students, honestly, and smoking during our lunch break. But as time has moved on, we have seen now a lot of changes has been happening. And that's why we are having so many drugs being sneaked in school. And the people who are involved in this, they are well known in the society. Yeah, they are well known. Even where the students get drugs, people know in the society. And that's why somebody said, it takes a village to raise a child. It means, if we take that statement serious, it takes a village to raise a child. Even the shopkeeper, even the person who is selling that drug is part of the society. But instead of building the society, he is destroying our society. So, and that's why we really need to rethink about parenting today and the kind of generation we are trying to raise. If we take that seriously without the blaming, I always say that we don't need to blame each other because parents end up blaming the teachers they blame the government, the parents, but we need to look at this issue holistically and ask ourselves, where did we lost the direction? And ask ourselves, what do we need to do in order to restore health in our school, in order to raise individuals of outstanding character? Because drugs get to schools because the people who are involved, their character is questionable. If they are individuals of good character, they cannot be engaged in drugs. And so when you look at the issue of character development, we have to trace it back to our families because our family are the cornerstone of the society, and society is the cornerstone of the nation, and nations being put together are the cornerstone of the world. So if family is the cornerstone of the society, we need to look at the parents, the guardians of these kids. What's their role? What are they doing in imparting values, imparting virtues, honesty, integrity, humility, perseverance, trustworthiness, obedience, empathy? What are they doing in imparting these values to their kids?
So, Mwalimu, as a teacher and also as an administrator, have you encountered such a scenario, like maybe a student somewhere has been found maybe with the drugs?
Yeah.
Have you encountered such?
Yeah, if I say that we have never encountered that, then it means that I'm not in this country. In fact, drug and substance abuse is something that is so rampant in our school today. Our institution is so rampant with it. It's like it is just a field. It's another field where some other students learn even how to do drugs. Yes, in this institution today. Now, I totally agree with what Mr. Kimori is saying, that it is the entire society, the entire village is supposed to be responsible and as much as raising the child. You know, some of these drugs get into our institutions because of that lack of the values and again the society around. They don't mind whether the child is getting destroyed or not. So the issue here is money. So long as they get the money, so they get a ready market or the large market in these schools. Now, some of these drugs get into our schools in by some of the the students pretending to be sick. Some, you might be seeing a child or a student that is coming to school, or a learner that is coming to school with some bandage somewhere, and you may think that this learner is injured. You will be seeing an injured learner getting into the compound. Yet, this is just a way of sneaking in some drugs. Within that bandage, some drugs are being sneaked in. We have always heard of cases, as a teacher, what we have always been doing. Once we realize that a student is always becoming sick on a particular day, frequently sick, then we have to start raising question mark, because maybe it is a way of going to get some drugs. In some of the boarding school, they lace some of the drugs in the soft drinks that they go with, like some quenchers, they put them in. Some of the candies that they like the lollipops. You might be seeing a lollipop, yet it is what? It is a drug. Some drill even holes within some bar soaps, and then they put drugs there. So there are several ways. Some also, the drugs are being peddled by use of the gatekeepers. Again, the skill person. Then again, if you're in a compound and then you realize that something is dropping from outside to the compound, don't just take that thing slightly. Maybe somebody is dropping a drug there. So there are some various points where these learners know where they are going to get what? These drugs. So there are so many ways. Some of them even ingest the drugs. They come with them. We have always even heard of people being arrested in the airport here with a lot of cocaine. So these learners also, some of them ingest. Some drugs, like inhalants, they get into our schools as a toothpaste. You may be seeing a toothpaste, but in reality, it is not a toothpaste. Whatever has been put there is what? Is a drug. So you have to be very much vigilant. You have to be very much careful for you at least to detect that there is something fishy taking place here. Yeah.
That has caught my attention. Okay, really quick.
I'd like to add something, because when you talk about drugs, you always think about the boys that are using drugs. I've been interacted with a few parents for some time this year, last year, in my profession, and sometimes I ask myself, when a person tells me that he has taken her girl to get family planning in Form 1, what kind of message is he sending to this girl? That at Form 1, the parents has taken her girl to have family planning. Are we seeing that family planning is a drug? It's happening actually. I asked them, and it's like, Kimoli, we don't have anything else we can do. We have to protect her. So if this child goes to school, she knows that she has that family planning somewhere. She has that family planning. What will be her character? Even in terms of looking at the teachers, she feels like she's a landlord. Yeah.
Yeah, she has that perception.
Yeah, that's what we are saying. What's the kind of message we as parents are we sending to our boys and girls? Because if your father and your drunkard at home, the boy has grown up seeing you being drunkard, being smoking. Even there is a lot of high chances that even your son will smoke. Your son becomes drunkard. And as much as you not smoke or become drunkard in front of you, just look of other alternative ways of getting money and enjoy the cigarettes just as you enjoy. And that brings the issue of role modeling. We as parents, we should remember that we are role models to our children. Is either we are modeling good character or bad character, but children are watching us on a day-to-day basis.
So, like Mwalimu has said something that actually has caught my attention. And I wanted to ask him again, maybe before I close to you, Mwalimu, how does this describe us, maybe as parents, when you hear that, okay, your daughter or your son is involved in drugs, maybe in school, he or she has been found maybe with particular drugs in school. How does this describe us, maybe as parents? Yeah.
I will never blame parents. And the good thing is that Mr. Kingori also says that he doesn't like blame game. So I will never blame parents. Why? Because even in our last discussion here, I say that we have some parents. You know, I interact with these parents. Some of the parents that I interact with are so good parents, but then you realize that they're pastors. Some of them are even pastors, and their kids are in drugs. How will you blame such a parent? It's very difficult. It is the environment that we are going to blame. We are going to blame the environment. We are going to also to look at these people that interact with this this child. What are they trying to impart in the child? No, there is this issue of love for money. Love for money. So somebody is not mindful of whether about the future of this child. What is important is the money. You get that? And some of these people that even peddle drugs, some of them are even very important people in the society. There are people that people want to identify themselves with, and they're the ones that are even peddling these drugs around here. So coming again to blame the parent is very difficult. And then there's some of the institutions also provide that good breeding ground where people can practice drugs. Like you say, we have some schools that teachers do not care. Yeah. So and then there is that peer influence among the youth, and definitely right now it is not even about the youth only. Even these young as those that are in class 4 today are in drugs. Some of them are in drugs. Can be shocked. Then some of them get into this thing because of out of curiosity. Then others, there's that aspect of the standard has been raised so high by the parents that okay, you have to be like so and so. So to be so like so and so and so and so is doing medicine. So let me find out from so and so, how did you make it? Then so and so gives a wrong advice that okay, for you to make it, then one, you have to avoid sleep. You must not sleep, and for you to keep awake, then you have to take this drug such that you read throughout. So that way, it means that the child will get into drugs. Yeah. So I will always blame the entire society. Whoever is selling this drug, that is the number one. Yes. Then whoever is now maybe again peddling this drug from the source to the child. Some of the students today are in school not purposely for their education, but they're in business. Yeah. They're in business. That is why they get 1, they get 2, they don't mind. Life continues because they are there. They are agents of other people. That is why they're in school. They don't mind. Yeah. So,
Mr. Kingori, we've agreed that we fail as a society. We failed as a society in maybe trying to raise a morally upright child. We failed as a society. So maybe from where you sit, also as a motivational speaker, from where you sit, what do you think should be done maybe to curb this issue? Because we've already failed as a society. So what do you think we as a society should do, maybe at least to make a step forward?
I would have to say there are so many parenting strategies that we need to implement, starting from our families. I'll give you a case example of a child and a mother. And this child, one day, her mother came back home at the evening, and the child will come the mother on a very friendly way to the family in the evening. And after welcoming her mother, this young boy, he asked the mother, how much do you earn in 1 hour? And the mother felt like, oh, why my son is asking me such a question? And we are parents and we react. And somehow, after some time, he told the boy, if you want to know, in 1 hour I had 100 Kenya shillings. And after the boy heard that her mother asked 100 Kenya shillings, he requested 50 bob. And the mother became even very angry and upset that he has requested 50. To a point where I just told the boy to pick up her things and go and sleep. And the boy went and he slept. And then after some time, the mother felt like, what have I told my son? And he went to the bedroom of the boy. He called the boy and he asked him, if you wanted 50 bob? Yes, here's 50 bob. He gave him 50. And after giving the boy 50 bob, the boy started to uncover the pillow of his bed, and he had some coins. And after putting together coins, he had an extra 50 Kenya shillings. And the mother has given him how much? 50 shillings. Now he has 100. Then he looked at the mother and he told her mother, Mom, you said you said that you earn 100 Kenya shillings in 1 hour. Now I have 100 Kenya shillings. Tomorrow, I'd like you to come early at home. I'll pay you this 100. At least you come and we eat dinner together. Who does it tell you?
The parent is always busy looking for money.
Always busy.
And you see, Mr. Kingori, just to interrupt you a bit, that is an area where most parents fail. In fact, they leave the responsibility to teachers.
And to the housemates.
Yes. So they're always busy looking for money. But the person you are looking for money for, you don't know that this person is getting destroyed. Yeah, in the process, you end up solving a problem that you would have solved long time ago. So you solve it for the rest of this person's life.
Yeah, I was to say that as much as we are busy, because that parent actually embraced the son and she cried actually uncontrollably because the boy was lacking the love of her mother in the family. So as much as we are busy looking for money, regardless of the high cost of living in Nairobi and other areas of this country, let us create time to interact with our children. Let us create time to interact with our husbands and our wives at home. Yeah, because it is a family, it's a nuclear family, or whichever the way you call it. Let us create time to interact with our children at home. And I always say that it's always good for families to have meetings at home. Meetings are not just held in schools, that they call for parents' meeting. Meetings are not just held in the church, that the pastor calls you for a meeting to plan about the church affairs. Meetings are not just held in the community where the chief calls a baraza. Meetings must start at home. The husband, the wife, the children, they should create time, be it in a week, especially every week, to have a time to ask themselves, how are we running our family? How is our children progressing? What impact are we making in the society? Because there is a lot of, when you look at the current society, there is a lot of, the relationship between the parents and the children is widening every day. There is a widening gap of relationships. And when you widen this gap of relationship and the boys and girls are growing up, at some point, they don't even respect their own parents. So to restore order in the family, that's where we have to have the family meetings and discuss about the family affairs. And again, a family that prays together stays together. If you ask husband, sometimes I ask husband and wives in schools and I go for parents meeting, how many of you prayed for your child when he was being admitted in Form 1? And nobody, maybe very few. So we like prayers to be there in the family because they are the bedrock of their success.
Okay, right. So, Mwalimu, he has mentioned something in his statement that when you're, as much as we are battling with high cost of living, actually, that's from our next topic for next week. That is the effects of rising fuel prices of fuel in the country. And maybe just to mention something as we wind up in 1 minute on that particular issue.
On the fuel, eh?
Fuel, the rise.
But then maybe before I mention anything on fuel,
yes,
Mr. Kingori, when it comes to the drug dealers are known in this country. The joints where these drugs are sold are known. So the government should be serious about ensuring that these areas where the drugs are being sold, they don't exist. The government, if you have a serious government.
Yeah, I think
because we have some of the kiosks, we know them. We know some kiosks. They pretend that they are selling some sweets, but they are joints for selling drugs. We know that. Now, going to the issue of fuel, definitely when the fuel prices go high, everything is affected. And we are in a country whereby we are always from one crisis to another. We're always from one crisis to another. After this fuel, you'll hear that now it is unga that has gone high. So to me, it is not something that is unique. We are going to solve this, then other one is going to come up. But that one is a discussion for another day.
Mr. Kiwari, really quick, as we wind up, in less than a minute.
I think the issue of the fuel has made us forget about the sugar scandal. Made us forget the many scandals that have been there and the arrest cases of senior government officials.
Yes.
But I'm trying to think from the president position, because you're leading a country which has rising cases of debt. What can you do? Because people are just saying that yes, high cost of living is there, but how are we going to reduce our public debt? How are we going to balance the budget deficit? We need to look at ways of increasing revenue collection. And as much as the members of parliament passed the VAT bill 2013, and now they have built again, they have taken it to the president to ascend the bill. I would say that let the president review the bill and return it to parliament with amendments. Because if I have a debt, I have to pay, and I have to look for money for paying the debt. Yeah. So let it be reviewed again, and in the need the prices will be increased, but at least a bit fair.
So let me just cut you short because of time.
We shall talk about that next
Let me
time.
just cut you short, gentlemen, because of time. I just want to sample some of the feedback right here. Wycliffe from Kikuyu says, "You guys are awesome. You should talk more about the current issues. So we are keen on that." Jack from Savannah. When am I coming to the show? I want to be part of the panel. We'll talk. So let me just take the last one. Wangari from Kikuyu. You guys are doing a great job, but there are some parts you are not touching. So I think we'll be talking about that. The parts we are not touching. I think we'll have time to tackle that. So remember, that's where we wind up Peace Express today. Remember also to send your views. The short SMS code is 40492, or you can call us on 0701486625 or 0721647995. Or you can also tweet us directly at Peace Express 1 using that hashtag Face to Face with Reality. Peace Express continues next week, same time, same channel, same host. For now, good night.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up, people? This is Agalin, and you're listening to DJ Nikki 254. You can find him on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at DJ Nikki 254.
Muda unapita, subira haileti mazao. Sipati picha ama ukweli yapo macho. Vita nishinda, Yesu peke ndiwe tegemeo. Nguvu hata sina, imani yako sata mwele. Wazazi wangu